Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Nurse Mark and the Green Nurse Daily Dose of AFA,
where we bring you hope and inspiration for growth and healing so you can start your day off the AFA way. And in case you have forgotten,
and you can't forget,
because I'll tell
we're going to
you what,
remind you every damn weekday, you're absolutely fucking amazing.
Exactly as you are.
Even when you don't think you are.
I know.
Especially when other people don't think you are. You're still absolutely amazing.
Oh, I know, right? Exactly.
Yes.
What people here it is. What people say about you. I've heard this once. Is none of your business.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
My earbud.
Consider that everybody's opinion of you has nothing to do with you. It's just a conglomeration of all their experiences and things that have happened to them in the past. And they see you and they pull all this shit from their past and create this opinion about you. Most of the time, no, I'll say all the time, they have no idea who you really are. Because let's face it, folks, you have no idea who you really are. Most of the time. That's the truth.
Yeah,
if
right.
You did know who you were, you at your core, the you that's eternal and always you. If you knew who you were, you would be unstoppable.
I'm unstoppable. So here it is. We're on a self-discovery. We are on discovery, right? Evolving. We're educating.
On the human journey, Cher.
And here it is. You ready? And this is hard to say. So many of the times when I don't feel good, the joy is in the journey.
Joy is in the journey. Yeah, I know.
Right? You got to look for it. Look for the
miserable fuck for quite a few weeks now.
Yeah,
and
you know what,
not
though?
Pleasant. I mean, I kind of keep it to myself. I hope sometimes, but obviously those who are around me the closest have to bear the brunt of it. But you know what? I'm still absolutely fucking amazing.
Well, you're still loved. You're still adorable. Here it is. You know what I look at it and I'm going to tell you, Mark, because I can feel it. You know what I mean? As an empath, I'm not going to lie. I can feel people's thoughts, which is kind of weird.
Oh, yeah.
But it's an energy thing. But the thing is, though, what I love is that you are a person that's very deeply introspective, and because you have moved through so much in your life and you've written a book about it. So, you having the awareness that you were in this funk for a couple of weeks. It's all right. You move through it. It's an evolutionary process.
Had to look at the root, right? Had to look at the root. First, I have to admit, I'm just a miserable son of a bitch right now. I have to admit, still absolutely amazing. Again, just keep going back to that, right?
Keep going.
And you are too. That's the point. I keep saying this is because you are too, no matter what circumstances are going on and how you're being in the world at this particular moment, you're still absolutely amazing. And you can get back to that, feeling that and displaying that. I had to really get to the root and understand what's the cause of all of this. Why am I feeling this way again? And uncover it. Deal with it, admit it, move on.
So here it is. Feel, deal, heal, share, shine, soar. Okay, so think about that. Isn't that so cool? Feel, deal, heal.
As good as hope, inspiration, growth for healing, but not as good because I love to get high like that.
Well, but the thing is too, the part that's cool too is in the sharing. So this is the part that's so amazing as to what we do, because we've been working on ourselves for 50 plus years, right? You think about it, is that we share information, we share stories, we're storytellers, just to get the information out there so people can start to process mental, emotional, spiritual things, but without buying into the story. So we all have the story. And that's okay.
What we make stories, we make meaning, and none of it's really true.
All right. So what it is too is that grounded spirituality. So when you say, so here's the interesting thing was when I hear, oh, it's not true, in that particular moment, my human self feels it as truth with the capital T. So then we got to look at, you have your human self and your spiritual self. And what is the goal? Is to merge those, is to bring your higher self grounded into your body. So grounded spirituality is addressing that human part of yourself and loving it, even when it's not lovable. That's called shadow work. That's addressing the shadow. And the shadow, I'm telling you right now, is going to come up. It always comes up
Right.
because the shadow is our opportunity
Yep.
to self-parent, to
Yeah.
quiet, let the spiritual voice come up, which is deep inside our hearts and
Yeah.
coming from spirits. You have that mix, right? And we're self-parenting, you know, that inner voice that's screaming at us all the time.
Totally.
And then what do I do when that screaming voice is screaming at me all the time?
Yeah.
Whoa! You know, and that's what I'm trying to do, to not let that energy ooze out, but also addressing it and taking accountability for it. So that's what I love.
And
We
that's,
are in
that's fabulous. And that is a great story.
Isn't that a great story?
I love that one. That's just as good as any other story that you can, that describes your experience. Amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Feel, deal, heal, share, shine, soar. Share, shine, soar.
Sure.
And then that whole grounded
Fantastic,
spirituality. Do not ignore our human experience. That's what it is. Do not ignore it. Can't ignore it.
How are you going to ignore it?
Well, here it is. You ready? It's called toxic positivity. There is such a thing as toxic positivity, right?
Sure, if you want to say there is, absolutely. As soon as you say it, it is.
Yeah. Tell me, have you ever experienced it?
Well, I don't know. You'll have to tell me what your version of it is, because I don't know what's in your head.
All right. Well, what's in your head when you hear toxic positivity? Does anything come into your mind? Do you feel anything different?
I feel like it's a great label for putting two disparate things together. So let me know what it is.
There you go. All right.
Is.
All right. Well, yeah. Well, here, you know, you're right. It is a story, but again, everything is a story, right?
It is. So
there you go. That's the whole
thing. That rabbit hole. Jesus.
But here's the thing too with stories. But here's the thing.
Everybody's going to become.
But here's the thing. The essence of nursing, is human caring, and
Yes.
our job as nurses
is
to care for the entire human experience, including the story that a patient may be in. I'm not going to take it on as my story.
Remember that number 6, right? Without judgment.
Yes, without judgment. So it is listening to that deep human experience without getting identified into their particular story with what's going on, and bringing it back, right? Bringing it back to yourself. Really, really good stuff. I love it.
Oh my gosh, Sherry, hold on. We had somebody pop in from Machias, Maine. Susie, how's everything up there in Maine? Hey, is it going well?
It's going well.
Oh,
it's going well. Good morning, everybody.
And Beth, Jack, Laura. Woohoo! All right, I had a good night's sleep last night, so I'm a little fired up.
That's all good.
Sherry, we may be going toe to toe. Let's go.
Toe to toe. Well, it's okay. It's it is out of love. Here's the thing. Here's the other cool thing too, is that having that head full of knowledge, which I love, and this is even what we talk about when we talk about our mentoring and mastermind group, is that we go out and we learn. We learn all of these different principles, these different tools, these tips, these tricks, these spiritual principles, all of these healing modalities, all of these concepts of spirituality. But then if they just reside in our head, what the goal is to embody it. So when we show up in the world, it's not up there as a concept, right? It's actually, we're embodying it in everything that we say or do. And let me tell you, it's hard. Yeah, it's really hard, because it's just like, wait a minute. Why did I act like that in that situation? Well, it's because I was in a particular mindset. And so it's allowing that spiritual voice to come up, to allow
knowing is
you can't have an egoectomy, right? We got egos.
Just knowing.
It's just knowing, we can't get rid of the ego. It's there to protect us. It's a comfortable space, but allowing spirits to come in and parent that part of us that needs to be parented, so we can show up loving and powerful, just like you say, Mark. That's what it's about. How do I show up loving and powerful in this particular moment, keeping grounded in my spirituality, not spiritual bypassing the human experience.
Right. Love it. Well, that was a great intro to the show.
I know. Wasn't that fun?
Welcome to Tuesday. Hugs and nugs.
Nugs.
Terpene Tuesday sometimes. Today it's Cannabinoid Tuesday.
Cannabinoid Tuesday.
Oh, yeah. So Daily Love was a long one today, but we just ripped right through that. So we're gonna
wait. That wasn't the Daily Love. You didn't even read it.
No. It's like it was a good chunk of a Daily Love here. So I can give you like the front end of it.
Oh yeah.
It ties right into what we've been talking about.
Yeah. Give the love. We all need the love.
All right. We're gonna get onto the Daily Love now.
Get onto the Daily Love, and then we'll go back to cannabinoids.
Listen, I pulled this from Go figure. I pulled it from one of my landmark books, right?
Mm-hmm.
Inventing New Futures. Just love this stuff because it makes you think.
Makes you think.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's entitled Values, a platform for our vision, goals, and the difference we are out to make. I'll give you just this front end quote from E.
I love the quote.
Cummings. All right. Here's a quote from E. Cummings. And it's perfect because we just talked about this. Almost anybody can learn to think or believe or know, but not a single human being can be taught to be.
There you go.
Why?
That's a good one.
Hold on, Cher. Hold on. There's more. Why? Why can't you be taught to be? Because whenever you think or you believe or you know, you are being a lot of other people. But the moment you are being, you're nobody but yourself.
There you go. Right. There's only you in the world, right? You figure out you're only showing up once in this human, this meat suit with this particular personality. It's really, really cool.
Oh yeah.
E. Cummings.
Yep.
Hugs and nugs of information.
Hugs
So
and
rising.
nugs.
We're gonna get back to cannabinoids. Let's say hello to everyone first. We've got Laura and Jack and Beth, and I can't see that other name.
Susie.
Susie.
It's hot up there in Machias, Maine. Yeah, it's hot everywhere
here,
today, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a little moist, I'll say, for sure.
A little bit. Yeah. A little hot under the lights here.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to get into it, Cher. Let's get into it. Let's talk about our hug and a nug today.
Yeah. Some of the new people that are joining us today, because I see a name that hasn't been here before. Our podcast is about bringing hope and inspiration for growth and healing. And on Tuesdays, we give hugs and nugs of information. We either talk about terpenes or cannabinoids. And we get into that and how it relates to the endocannabinoid system. And then we bring up some research and give some numbers and kind of talk about the endocannabinoid system and how it applies and how these different cannabinoids and terpenes can work in our body, isolated and then in whole plant. So first of all, Mark, what is a cannabinoid?
Oh my gosh. Well, it's a type of chemical structure, right? It's any chemical compound that acts on cannabinoid receptors, which are the major ones are cannabinoid receptor 1 and 2. And those cannabinoids include endogenous cannabinoids, right? Our bodies make a particular chemical compound in a certain molecular structure that is a cannabinoid, and it hooks into these receptors. So we have endogenous cannabinoids. We have phytocannabinoids that are found in the cannabis plant. So the plant makes cannabinoids that are of that same chemical structure that snap into those receptors. And then there are, of course, synthetic cannabinoids. Now, the pharmaceutical companies make them, but there are also other illicit companies that make synthetic cannabinoids. You might have heard of Spice and K, these other synthetic cannabinoids, which, by the way, are just simply awful. I mean, they're just terrible. And a lot of the emergency room visits you see from these synthetic cannabinoids are because companies have figured out that if they change one little tick of that molecular structure, it's actually a legal compound and they can sell it because the DEA doesn't have any regulations around this particular chemical structure, right? The DEA says, oh, Delta 9 THC, no. But if Delta 9 THC is just clicked a little bit and it's not Delta 9 THC chemically, well, then it's legal. So anyway,
but that's a good point too, because some people that are out there might be like, oh, I might want to try K Spice too, even though that they can get it. I'm going to tell you not to, and here's the reason why. Big reason why. So when we talk about agonist and antagonist, agonist means go. Antagonist means pull back a little bit.
Right.
So cannabis in general is a partial agonist.
Right.
Partial means it doesn't fully plug in.
Yeah.
K is a full agonist, meaning that it is going to blast into those receptors and could hurt you.
And it's going to bind to that receptor. A full agonist binds to that receptor and isn't easily knocked off, right? So it has its effect for a much longer duration.
Time. Yeah.
So again, partial agonist, well, it gets knocked off of that receptor, and so it's not active anymore. Full agonist, so that's the reason why. Good morning from Rainham. Morning.
Yay, Rainham is in Mass. Yay,
it is right up the street from me.
There you go, Berkeley, Berkeley, Mass.
A lot of friends in Rainham, Massachusetts. Now you can say it Rainham or Rainham.
Random.
Where
Well,
you
it's like,
come
is it potato or potato?
Right, right.
Tomato or
That's exactly right, Shari.
aunt or
Or is it
aunt?
Cheery? No, it's Sherry.
You're
All right.
funny
So
today.
getting back to
You're
I know I had a good
listen,
amount of
you're
sleep last night.
spicy
God
today,
bless my
Mark.
wife. She's just the best thing ever. Yeah, she gave me a good night's sleep last night. No,
She gave
not
me a good
actually.
night.
She gave me a good night's sleep because she went and slept in another room with the dog. She's like, I need you to get a good night's sleep. So I'm like, yeah. It was great.
You're
Anyway,
funny. I'm gonna call you spicy today. Mark, you're
I'm
spicy. You're
spicy
on
today. Yeah,
fire.
look out. I am spicy and fired up. And here we go. So
Okay.
listen, share. We're going to talk about THC.
Tetrahydrocannabinoid.
V is in Victor.
Yeah.
THCV, everybody.
Yep. THCV. So
Yep.
it's tetrahydrocannabinoid.
Yes, it is.
THCV.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was discovered in 1971 and it belongs to the THC group. I don't know if you have that diagram, Mark, that you can pull up just to show peeps really quickly.
Well, keep talking, Cheryl.
I'll keep talking.
Find it.
Yeah, so it's a diagram of the plant when it's raw and when it's heated or cured and when it's aged. And it's going to show the progression. So the lifespan of a cannabinoid to get to THCV, and we've talked about these other cannabinoids in other shows, starts off with CBGA, and then it converts to THCA, then it converts to THC, and then it can convert to THCV. So you have to understand that these different molecules can continually to convert. And so what this convert, it produces a different effect than THC. So the other name of it is the delta 9 trans tetrahydrocannabivarin. Interesting, right? And so basically, like we said, it has a very different effect than THC. Okay, so cool. So this is a really cool little chart here. And it just shows the progression of when you have raw plant, heated plant, and aged plant, and how the process changes over time. The plant is evolving, even when you take it out of the ground. So take it out of the ground, and when you cure it, the cannabinoids and terpenes start to develop even better, and they get richer, and they allow for more of the entourage effect. If you let the cannabis sit there for a year, I don't know. I found old cannabis once in a drawer in a sock.
Who hasn't? Who hasn't reached into a coat pocket from like years ago, and like said, well, what is that? What?
Right?
What? Yeah.
Yes. So anyway, so the bottom line is this just shows the reason why I want to show this is just for educational purposes, just so you all can see how rich, vast, and diverse this plant is and how it can change and morph through time.
And there are so many different factors that go into it, right? We talk about this all the time, Sherry, where it's like time has a chemical effect, or like a physical effect on the chemistry of these different cannabinoids and terpenes. And heat has an effect on it, and light has an effect on it. So all of those things combined, man, just flesh out all of these different cannabinoids. So you end up at the bottom with like CBN in an aged cannabis, in aged cannabis. CBN is prevalent because all of these things have degraded to CBN. And that's, I mean, some of the things we use CBN for these days are sleep, which again, we got a great.
We did a show on sleep. We did a show on sleep, and we did a show on CBN. So we'll have to repurpose those soon.
Yep.
So anyways, we'll get back to THCV.
Yeah.
So the interesting thing about THCV is that it may be able to produce therapeutic effects in obesity related to diabetes. Okay, so they discovered this drug called, and you've talked about this before, Mark. You're really pretty,
right?
Yeah.
Rimonabant was they thought going to be this amazing drug to combat obesity, right? Because it's a CB1 inverse agonist. Don't you love chemistry?
I know. Agonist is go, but inverse means, so if you just think about it, I look at it just to explain it this way.
Yeah.
It's going forwards and backwards at the same time.
Yeah. Right. So they used it to treat obesity, and it was I think primarily in Europe it was authorized for use. But they used it to treat obesity, but it was pulled from the market because it wasn't just potential mood disorders. Well, it kind of caused people to be suicidal and like people killing themselves. So they said, yeah, this isn't a good side effect of this particular drug.
Right. So just think about, if you think about why too, when you get into like physiology and chemistry and about how CB1 receptors, we have the majority of them in our brain. So just to think, if you're blocking them to do one thing to suppress appetite, then you have to really think about what are the other effects
Right.
of the multiple CB1 receptors
Yep.
that exist in our brain at all of these neurotransmitter junction sites, right? So this is where it gets really, really interesting.
And,
And that's
a great moment to just point out how little we really know about the human body, right? We may have, especially in Western medicine, we have this sort of false feeling that we know stuff. We really don't freaking know stuff, okay? It's
Yeah.
all just a grand experiment. We kind of have some knowledge about it, but we really don't know. So they use this drug. They thought it would be great for obesity. And Sherry, you're right. They're like, they block the CB1 receptor, only we don't really fully understand all of the things that the CB1 receptor is
does.
doing. Yeah.
Right. But the bottom line is, you know, serious psychiatric side effects. Like Mark said, people were becoming suicidal. And so it was never approved in the United States.
Nope.
But the good news is we have THCV, tetrahydrocannabivarin.
Yeah.
Right. And so this particular cannabinoid affects lipid and sugar metabolism. And, which I love, think about this, the opposite of the other drug, it has antipsychotic effects.
Yeah.
How cool. Lipid, sugar, brain, all of it.
So now you can argue with somebody and say that THC can be antipsychotic.
See? Because
they won't know that you're not talking about Delta 9 THC.
Right. Exactly.
It's THCV. Oh, don't you love this? Oh,
I love science. So, and I'm not going to lie. I'm going to just be really real. I just learned that. I didn't know THCV had antipsychotic effects. And this is in Cannakeys. So we're getting our documentation and our research from very, very reliable sources. So THCV and receptor binding. So when we're talking about cannabinoids, right? They plug in, they go and they activate different receptors to tell them to do something. Okay, so THCV, which I found very interesting, is a tissue-specific or dose-dependent agonist, meaning to do something. Right. And that's at a high dose. So THC at a high dose.
Biphasic again, right?
Right. High dose is low dose.
Biphasic. High dose does one thing, low dose does another. What's the low dose THCV do, Cher?
This is interesting. Complete opposite. Low dose THCV is an antagonist at the CB1 receptor, meaning that it tells it to stop doing something. Right. So agonists do something, antagonists stop doing something. High doses of THCV, it's doing something. Low doses of THCV, it's going to stop doing something. So I find that very, very interesting. And it also works as an antagonist at these other receptors. CB2, TRPV receptors, serotonin receptors, those are the vanilloid, right? That mediate pain, inflammation, temperature, itching, and type of things.
Yeah.
I know. So this cannabinoid, I'm really, really excited about this. And the thing that's we're gonna get into the I like positive and clinically positive, and they give percentages. So let's talk. I know this type of stuff really gets me fired up.
Oh yeah.
So, Mark, I'm going to let you get into the research because you are really good at that.
Oh, I love analyzing research. So there were in Cannakeys, we use this as one of our primary sources of information, and Cannakeys pulls all of the studies that are done and puts it into a format where we can look at it and digest it, which is really good. Because sometimes it's hard to find all of the research that's out there. I mean, it's a chore. You go on PubMed and all of these different places where research is published, and you got to pull. You would think it would be all in one spot. It's not. It's all over the place. Anyway, Cannakeys brings it in. So there were 18 total studies noted in Cannakeys. There was 1 lab, 4 animal, 1 meta-analysis. And again, if we're going up the scale of reliability and validity, right? You got lab, animal, meta-analysis, clinical human trials. There were none that were noted, but there were 2 double-blind placebo-controlled human trials, which is again like the gold standard. That's where we want to get to. That means we've determined that it's safe enough to start to test in human beings, and so now we're going to do it. And that's when it sort of really starts to take on this valid thought. So with diabetes, so we're talking diabetes and obesity, right? Both epidemics, especially in our country here in the United States. So, when we talk about things that could have a positive effect, it's a big deal. And cannabis,
Big deal.
THCV can have a positive effect. Let's talk about that. In
Okay.
diabetes, 95% overall positive.
And then
100% clinically positive with THCV.
Okay, so that gives me the goosebumps because
Doesn't
you
it?
can't
We're
deny
talking it has an
100%.
effect on glucose regulation,
Lipid
insulin
metabolism.
sensitivity, somehow.
Right. All of
Yeah.
it. It's really, and we're going to actually we're going to dive into, I thought we would keep on this theme for the whole week.
Yeah.
We're going to dive into obesity tomorrow and diabetes on Friday to go right
Well,
along.
hey, listen, diabetes runs in my family. My great grandfather lost 2 legs and an eye. My grandmother, had diabetes and complications related to it, stroke and all of that. And, both my brothers are diabetic. Like we're like, it runs in our family. Right.
Yeah.
So for me, diabetes is very personal. And I have so many friends who are diabetics. Like it's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
I mean, it can be a killer for
You
absolutely hands down.
lose limbs, lose your kidneys,
Yep.
lose body parts.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Really
So
bad.
again,
Anyway.
anything that can have a positive effect, let's do it. And so cannabis having such an amazing safety profile, let's just dive in. THCV share. So that's great.
So diabetes and obesity.
Yeah.
These were the 2 big things. Diabetes, 95% overall positive, 100% clinically positive.
Right.
Obesity, 86% overall positive,
right.
50% clinically positive. So when I see a 50% clinically positive, I still cheer. That's still really, really good because we're in the early stages of research. So these are undeniable numbers, right? So the primary symptoms the primary systems in the human body that they studied with this was the nervous system, endocrine, immune, cardiovascular, and the nervous system includes mental, emotional.
Of course. And, when we're talking diabetes and obesity, of course, it's the endocrine system because we're talking about glucose regulation. We're talking about metabolism. And so, when you start down that path, it really is a path. So if you can get early on in front of obesity, you'll avoid all of the things that cascade from that, right? The more weight you gain, the more your body has to change to accommodate that, right? And so it becomes this cascade that's hard to get back from. You can get back from it, but the best thing to do is just cut it off in the front end. Like if we're headed down that path, let's utilize some things that can help stop us from getting to that far end.
Exactly. I completely agree.
So the top conditions, well,
we just mentioned them. The top conditions that they studied with all of these different studies was obesity, diabetes, and epilepsy. It's had the biggest benefits. They also studied prostate cancer, skin diseases, nicotine dependence, fatty liver disease, microbiome imbalance, which we talked about, and OCD. Right. So if you think about, so here I am thinking about, I'm like, oh gosh, we talk about, right, the endocannabinoid system, all of these different systems in our body that are in different organ systems. Right. And just to quickly review the endocannabinoid system, it regulates all 11 organ systems, our immune system, and the neurotransmitter signaling systems that give messages to tell our body to either do something or not do something. So the umbrella shows the interconnectedness of our entire body. All of the spokes of the umbrella are our different organ systems. The fabric pieces of the umbrella are those neurotransmitter signaling systems. The top of the umbrella is the endocannabinoid system that blankets right on top of our entire umbrella. And we produce internal endogenous cannabinoids that are very similar to the plant. And if we don't produce enough of our own, what happens? We don't get rained on, right? Our own anandamide and 2-AG that we make that are similar to the plant doesn't get on our umbrella. And we want healthy cannabinoids on our umbrella to keep our umbrella going up and down nicely. And so when that doesn't happen, what happens? We get tears in the fabric of our umbrella. We start to develop symptoms. Things aren't communicating. Messages aren't getting where they need to go. And that's when we start to develop disease. And so, so the goal of cannabinoids is to introduce those into our body to stimulate and regulate our own endocannabinoid system to start getting our body, our machine, our meat suit well oiled into homeostasis. And so that's the part that's so cool about this and how this one cannabinoid That's what gets me excited when I see these top conditions
Yeah.
can work on multiple things in the body at the exact same time. Boom.
Cannabis for the win.
Yes. Cannabis.
Yeah. So, Cher.
Yes. What do we got going on?
A lot going on this week.
Let's start off with, so tomorrow morning we've got our daily shows. Every morning. We thank you all so much for joining us. 8 a.m. And then tomorrow night we are having, and who do we have tomorrow? Oh, Melanie Cross. And this is going to be really
Melanie
good.
Cross. Yep.
She's the plant medicine woman. She's a cannabis nurse practitioner. And we're going to talk about how and why she shifted focus from cannabis over to psychedelics. Like what is piqued her interest with the psychedelic medicine? And when we see that, I've seen articles that say, the cannabis movement is opening up the doors to the psychedelic movement. So we're going to have that really cool
discussion. Open the door. Yeah. Because it inserted that doubt that the government really knows what's going on, right? Because all of a sudden, something that they said was horrible and evil and nasty actually turns out to be one of the most efficacious, safe medicines that you could ever use, right? So now all of a sudden, people are finally understanding that what you receive from the government is mostly just bullshit and a story that's weaved and not true at all. So now they're looking at psychedelics and saying, well, could the same be true? The government did a whole lot of experiments in the late 50s and 60s with psychedelics, and it looked like there was some positive stuff there. And now the door opens again, and let's talk psychedelics.
And then Friday, we're talking energy. Friday morning, right after the show in the Green Nurse community, we will be going live and sharing it throughout the different pages on Healy, which is a microcurrent device. It provides a vibration, frequency, microcurrent through a quantum sensor. Really, really cool. We're going to be talking about that. And if you show up in the group, you will have the experience. And then we have the weekend. Mark, the weekend. What's going on Saturday?
Man,
June big 12th, day.
Down on the farm.
Look down in the comments. Right there, you can get your ticket.
Your endocannabinoid system with the Green Nurses down on the farm. This is a not to miss event. I mean, you gotta be a part of this.
You do. We put some time and energy into it because we want you all to have that really rich, beautiful experience of learning about the plant, but also learning about other things that you can do that are fun and interesting that pair really, really well with the plant.
Right.
So it's a huge educational opportunity. It's going to be a day of rest and relaxation. If you want to make it high vibe, we're going to have some journey dancing. We're going to introduce all of the things that upregulate the endocannabinoid system. Going to have an educational consumption table where we have sponsors that have donated products that we're going to educate on. So if people want to try them, they can. Door prizes. So every ticket that's purchased that comes to this event gets a free bottle of little CBD.
My God, one of our sponsors. If you add up all of the value of all of those things, Sherry,
it's way.
We're paying people to go up and have fun.
We are. Listen,
that's it. This is not a money-making venture by any stretch of the imagination.
Not at all.
Which is amazing because we're going to absolutely change lives.
We're going to pamper you all. Exactly. Yes. Pamper you all with all the love we have, with all that AFA love. And then finally, we have sponsors that have donated products for a raffle. Yeah. So, you get in and you get a ticket and you get to pick your raffle box, that you want to put to win. So really good stuff going on. One final thing that we have going on Sunday. Sunday is also, we have an event with Vanessa Cruz, and that's also in the comments. Sacred Cannabis Journeying. Exactly. Yeah. And so you want to sign up for that sooner than later. And the reason why is because it sells out fast, number one. And number two, we want to have a conversation with you before you have that experience. So Vanessa's really, really cool and wants to do a quick chat, phone call, check in, get some information on you before you engage in having that experience. So good stuff. Okay. Good stuff.
Right. Well, this is my AFA day, Tuesday, June 8th, 2021.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how much I appreciate everybody showing up.
Yeah, me too. There's a lot of comments in there.
They're all a part of the journey.
Yeah, really grateful. Really, really grateful for you all showing up. It's just. Yeah.
Gary, lay it on me, baby.
Lay it on you. Yeah. So thank you all for joining us this morning. Yeah. It truly is about living your best life, helping others do the same, and decreasing stigma around what it means to feel good. We love you.
Love you guys. See you tomorrow morning.